Many parents come to us already exhausted, not because they don't love their child, but because they've spent years watching their child cope, manage, and struggle in other ways people don't see. They've learned which clothes won't be worn because certain fabrics feel unbearable. They've bought the same shirts or pants over and over because those are the only ones that don't cause distress. Some kids wear headphones or ear protection just to tolerate everyday noise. Some can't handle crowded stores, bright lights, birthday parties, or stimulating environments that other families take for granted. Parents find themselves constantly scanning their surroundings, thinking ahead about where they're going, how loud it might be, how busy it could get, what might set their child off, and whether the outing is even worth the cost it may take afterward. Life slowly becomes a series of calculations, not because parents are overprotective, but because they're trying to help their child function in a world that feels completely overwhelming. Over time, this becomes an invisible load that parents carry quietly. They're thinking about exits, backup plans, recovery time, and who could realistically watch their child and understand their needs without everything falling apart. Parents aren't just managing schedules, they're managing nervous systems, often without realizing that's what they're doing. And while they're doing everything they can to support their child, they're also carrying the emotional weight of watching their child struggle in environments that feel too loud, too fast, or too intense. This isn't about being picky or dramatic. It's about a child doing their best to cope with sensory input that their nervous system can't filter efficiently. Sensory processing challenges are not about preference. They're not about attitude or behavior. They're about how the nervous system receives, organizes, and then responds to sensory input. Every sound, every texture, every movement, and visual stimulus has to be filtered by the nervous system before the body can decide how to respond. When that system is working efficiently, sensory inputs fades into the background. When it's not, the input stays loud, intense, and intrusive. This is why a tag in a shirt, a crowded room, or sudden noise can feel overwhelming rather than just neutral. The nervous system isn't ignoring the input, it's amplifying it. And when input is amplified all day long, the system eventually reaches capacity. To understand why this happens, it helps to look at the balance between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous systems. The sympathetic system is responsible for alertness and protection. It turns the volume up and prepares the body to react. The parasympathetic system is responsible for calming and organizing and recovery. It helps the brain filter and prioritize sensory information. When the sympathetic system stays dominant, the nervous system remains in a heightened state of alert. In that state, normal sensory input can feel threatening. This is why kids with sensory processing challenges often appear anxious, reactive, or emotionally flooded. Their nervous system is doing exactly what it's designed to do when it perceives overload. It's protecting the body. When sensory input continues to pile up without regulation, the nervous system eventually shifts into fight, flight, or freeze. What parents see as a meltdown is not a loss of control, it's a protective response to overload. This is also why sensory meltdowns often seem sudden or out of proportion. The reaction isn't about the last sound, the light, or request, it's about cumulative input. The system has been holding on all day and it finally runs out of capacity. This is why logic, consequences, or reasoning rarely work in the moment. The nervous system is not in a state where it can access those tools. This nervous system pattern also explains why many common strategies fail. Exposure alone doesn't fix sensory processing. Forcing tolerance doesn't teach regulation. Rewards and consequences don't change how the nervous system filters that input. These approaches assume the system can regulate under stress. When it can't, those strategies often increase anxiety and reactivity. Parents are often told to push through or ignore sensory responses, but that approach overlooks the underlying physiology. The issue isn't effort, it's capacity. Until that nervous system can regulate more efficiently, sensory input will continue to feel overwhelming. The goal of care in sensory processing challenges is not to change who a child is or eliminate sensitivity. It's to improve the nervous system's ability to regulate and integrate sensory input. When the nervous system receives consistent, appropriate input, it can learn to shift out of that high alert and access the parasympathetic system more effectively. As regulation capacity improves, the nervous system becomes better at filtering sensory information. The volume comes down, the system doesn't have to react as strongly to everyday sensations. This creates a foundation where tolerance, flexibility, and emotional regulation can develop naturally rather than being forced. As regulation improves, we often see kids who were overwhelmed by sound, by touch, or movement begin to start to tolerate sensory input with less distress. Families frequently notice fewer meltdowns in busy environments, smoother transitions, improved emotional regulation, and better recovery after stimulation. We also commonly see that strategies which never worked before begin to work once the nervous system has more capacity. These changes tend to be gradual and steady, reflecting improved regulation rather than behavior being controlled. If sensory challenges are shaping how your family lives day to day, there is usually a reason, and it isn't bad parenting, obviously. I'm Dr. Steve Lako with Lako Family Chiropractic. We specialize in pediatric and family care with a focus on nervous system regulation and development. If this explanation feels like it fits what you're seeing at home, you can learn more about our approach on our website or give our office a call to schedule a consult. Because sensory processing isn't about toughness, it's about the nervous system experiencing the world.